Right. So this is one of the topics. Zizi, there we go. There's Zizi in the call. Inai, more Inai, welcome. Right, let me just drag this one a little bit better that I can see all the notes. Oh, there we go. And I can still see you, so you're welcome to interrupt me at any time. So, negotiations is really one of those topics that I must say I enjoy. So, purely because it is that human, that body language, that decision making, that going for the kill because something needs to happen here. It's like, listen, there's a couple of things in real estate that gives me when I was a agent those highs is when I do that mandate presentation. I'm a hunter. So I want to go for that kill and I want to have that mandate. Then I'm like, yo. And when I put that for sale sign, if there ain't no for sale sign, it's not a listing. I know there's rules and things about the estates. Then my next skill is that offer that I need to present. And then that closing, that negotiations, that one, that chase and that kill. Love that part. And then I must say that negotiations and when we're up and when we're down and when we see how it happens, that sold sign, hey, that's another thrill for me. I think that sold sign is the biggest thrill out of all of it. I know the commission that lands in your bank account is great, but that sold part is what I really enjoy. So today I want to chat to you about power negotiations. Negotiations, there's not magic around it. It's not like you go in and go, ta-da-da-da, it's done. You have to keep working on that skill of negotiations. And when I talk about power negotiations, we're going to look at the different styles as well. There it says that the negotiation and personality types. I'm going to bring in the D so that you can the disc so that you can be so smart at getting to understand immediately what are the personality traits in the discs you're working with. The elements of negotiations. When you go in for that cue, what you have to have together. They were the tactics. It's quite a number of tactics and counter tactics. As where I always find in this topic the fun part because you're going to identify some of them. I'm going to copy and paste my notes afterwards on all of them because there's so many that I've added that you will probably go afterwards. Rolo, I can't remember that one. I can't remember that one because you want to start to identify the different tactics and counter tactics. And believe you me, on negotiations, there is so many books and people that you can dive deeper into it. This is really, we just want to touch on it to bring you that awareness of what's happening. So, what is negotiations? Okay, now negotiations is mindshare. Everybody is going to have a different opinion about it. But a negotiation is a strategic discussion that resolves an issue in a way that both parties find acceptable. In a negotiation, each party tries to persuade the other to agree with his or her point of view. By negotiating, all involved parties try to avoid arguing but agrees to reach some form of compromise. And negotiations only happens where people are moving things and making decisions. Negotiations is like an art form. But the person that engages the first step in negotiations instills kind of the possessor of power. So, just some facts on the next couple of slides about negotiations. You are actually negotiating all the time. The most appropriate picture I could find there was a mother and a daughter, child, a husband with a friend, with whatever style of communication and content is happening in that communication, and what talk is a form of negotiations. Lover, husband. If you know how to do it correctly, structuring negotiations so other will get the good of it, and you'll be more successful in life. If you can, it's that sort of make people now, don't now run into your children and your husbands and start learning negotiating skills on them. But I think as we're going to go through it, you're going to start identifying more and more of it. But if you can apply that and see the moment and be able to control it, you can only do X amount cognitively on a daily basis. You are paid that groot geld because of your skill of negotiating this mandate and offer. What do they say? We want to get you the highest price for your property in the shortest amount of time with the less hassle and fussle. Because you must remember something about negotiating is that anything you want is controlled by somebody else. And now I'm not talking about my mandate presentation. Dear seller, here's all my sexy marketing. Here's all the prachtige goedjies I'm going to do for you. This day, property 24, private property for sale sign, show hours, as viewing hours. But if you don't bring that skill, like Jessica has said, this is a skills-based market, the shift. So anything else that you are going to want or to close that offer is controlled by somebody else. Either that buyer or that seller to close the deal on the commission or the mandate. Or husband and wife discussion, when are we going to Mauritius is your suggestion. Husband or wife to respond, we'd like to go then, but then we have the money. And then we start. Although it's just communication, but it's still negotiations because we want something, an end result. We're going to go deeper into this, but I've put it in here and you'll see I'm going to repeat the slide just to entice you because how we're going to go more into it is that power button, that power that you have in negotiations, when to start it and what power do you really have? Because in negotiations, the person that starts has the power. And in your profession as a realtor, everything comes from contribution to have that power, to facilitate the process into decision making. Does that make sense? Hulle eet seker pap hier by Pivot. And then we're going to look at the different personality styles about negotiations. Yeah, everybody brings something different to the table, but you need to be cognitively aware of it and know it so well, like script, so that when you are across that opportunity and you identify that person, you know what you are dealing with, that you don't go blinded into it. And the disc, obviously I'm a DI. Um, um, if you would like to do your disc profile and we can set a time aside to discuss it in detail, I think it's 128 or 150 bucks for the disc profile because they buy it the link from America. And then a link gets sent to you, and then please go and sit and go and you need to be quiet for about an hour to go and physically focus on the questions, pick the best answers, and then they'll email it back to us, and then we'll set up a time to discuss your desk in detail. If I tell you, in my 6 years with Keller Williams, going on 6.5, when did I join? 20 beginning, end of 2015 is when I joined. So in all the time, when I first did my desk, everything was D, 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 extreme D. Through the years, it's changed. My I came up, so I'm a DI. And there's nothing wrong with your desk. It is just a character trait and typical character behavioral ways you act. So there's the dominance, and we're going to discuss that. The D is the influence, the S, the compliant one or the amicable one, and then the S is the steady one, the factual, actual one. Okay, right now, let's jump into simple rules of when you're going to now go into negotiations. Simple. Include all the issues. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Piece them together so that everybody can walk away feeling like they've won. Everything must be included. And when I talk everything, when you're going to go and sit around that table, now let me just tell you something about negotiations here as well. When you're going to go into negotiations, make sure all the decision makers that must sign on the dotted line is present or do have the necessary authority to act on. If you want to, when you're going to sit and you arrive at the cellar and you want to negotiate, sitting in the lounge, making decisions and making them sign on a clipboard on their lap is not necessarily ideal. I have done that before purely because it was just practical at that, because of my, the relationship that you built with the client. But that's not ideal if you want to control the conversation. Do not go and sit at the head of the dining room table. Do not sit between the two decision makers. It is just that feel in a room so that you are aware of it. When you go in to close your mandate or close your offer, those two criticals, do not sit between them. I've seen it so many times where the agent goes and says, "Yeah, please can we go? Let's sit there by the dining room table so that I can discuss everything." Bah, sits at the head of the table like, "Hola, my house, my jaw. Let me sit here." Because then what are they going to do? Husband, wife, or what? It's going to sit, and then they are going to make decisions across the table. Do it the other way around. If you are left-handed, then sit that table. If you're right-handed, sit that chair. It's just how you need to position yourself. Get to know the other person. Stalking on steroids. You must know everything about that person. Let me tell you, by then your seller is already on your Facebook. That's just the way it is. That's how we build relationships, or they're on your page, or you can go and check them out. You already know where they are working. You can already pick up what, in your walk through their homes, what they love. Is it boating? Is it this? Is it that? With one or two conversations with your buyer and after the viewing, you can already hear, oh, they love the fishing room or the movie room. They are probably already on all of your social media, and you have probably already clicked the profile picture. That's just what we do. It's the creatures that we as humans are. We want to have information. So you need to get to know that opposition so well. Listen, and please just never assume that money is the bottom line. We all have different perspectives. We all have different the way we see life, the what our expectations are. For some people, it's just not the money is not the bottom line. It is I want it and I will have it, and because it is right there, no matter what, I will have that. So there's the three stages of negotiations. First, you sort of establish the negotiation criteria. Is it going to be an offer at X with so much bond, this day occupation? What does the seller want me to do? Sell it in 60 days because he has to move, or they're getting divorced, or he's lost his job, financial reason. So how are we going to now negotiate this mandate? Because what would the expectation be? Gather all the information for all sides. Like, why is he selling? There's that. Reach for the compromise and find the win-win solution. You do not go into a negotiation if you haven't if you don't have a plan, a map to that outcome. Before I forget, I do have here in my notes as well that I just want to say is in negotiations, the 5-second rule is very well applied. You need to learn to shush as well. Somebody must make a move, and silence is sometimes a good move. So just remember that. If you don't know what to do nothing. The answer will present itself. There's that saying. So, by that 5-second rule, for those of you that haven't heard me say it before in the training, stop. Just stop. Listen. What is the message that you are coding here? Think. Then think about what you're hearing and seeing, and then react. And if you are a little bit slower in life in the uptake, we've added you an extra second as a bonus. By the way, it doesn't mean you have to get this right in 5 seconds. You can do so many 5 seconds in your mind over and over and over till you are comfortable to react. It's called that mindfulness of awareness of what do you see, what do you hear. If you are selfish about that extra second, the outcome out of your mouth or your reaction could move an entire negotiations or communication in a different direction. Does this build you up and give you a little bit of that adrenaline rush? Like, yeah, we want to go in, give it to me. I think my customers grab their bikinis and run. Is it Silence of the Lambs again this morning? No camera, no voices. Oh, daar kom die messages nou. Dankie Danielle, dankie Inay. Yes, please, Karen, talk to us.
I just responded. I'm listening. Okay. I'm
Mooi,
listening. Okay.
mooi. Right. Now, I want you to understand to be a good negotiator. Know that negotiations requires interaction. Negotiations ain't gonna happen if somebody doesn't make a move. Listen, to be a good negotiator, it is going to require you to have that need and want to be the best. That desire, 6 personal perspectives, be learning based. understand principles and gambits. They have put gambits, an act or remark that is calculated to gain an advantage, especially at the outset of a situation. Think for yourself. Here I arrive, my mandate presentation, 7 o'clock Monday night. I'm walking in here, ready. We're going to park around the table. I'm going to do my talk. I know my script and what I want to say and what I'm going to bring to the table. I've got X amount of time and I'm leaving here with that mandate sign on the dotted line. Thank you, Rolo. Here we are paying you 6.5 plus VAT. Negotiations is regular practice. And that's why I love going back to the 4 conversations of Keller Williams. Leads. If you ain't have a lead, you've got nothing. Listings. How many listings? What is your contracts that you signed? How many units that you do? And then and what is your profit? Because with leads, we can do the appointments. If there ain't no leads, there ain't no appointments. If there ain't no appointments, there ain't sales. If there ain't sales, there ain't money. Klar. Real estate transactions, whether it's a mandate, whether it's taking an offer, or whether it's closing a transaction, happens eyeball to eyeball, nose to nose, and belly to belly. And you want to add as many of this in your database or in your business on a weekly basis. So this negotiations is like script. It needs practice. You can't take an offer every 6 months and then think you're going to be a pro and now walk in and all of a sudden you sit there. That's when agents give their money away. When the 6.5 become a 5. So there's that repetition slide. We're going to now look at power. And then the 8 types of power. Okay. Then we're going to look at the importance of gathering the information. And then your time. How is this going to happen and what is the plan? Being a realtor, because of our appointments, it doesn't mean you are a little bit bipolar. We have to adjust our personalities to fit our clients because we are the business, we are the service, we are the coffee, we are the tin of milk, the product. And the only way we can establish this and keep this going is because we come from already bring with power because we've got an expectation that we want from people. From the onset in your conversation, starting with either a buyer or a seller, you are the whole time negotiating in the communication. When would you like to view the house? When can I do the valuation? Oh, I love your children. Happy anniversary. When can I do the valuation? Power is probably the most important element in this negotiation. You must first have that because one is controlling, has power, and one is being controlled. It's no power. You understand this scale now, yeah, in this negotiations. Rolo and Renee is negotiating buying a property. And Rolo gets this and Renee says this. Somebody, it's tipping the whole time. Now, the next slide, we're going to look at the different power. That power. So there's the legitimate power. Comes with a title or a position. Hello? Yes. Now I'm an attorney. And you want to sell my house? Now I'll do my own transfer. And what is this rubbish of your mandate? So here walks in eiendomsagent What happens with that power? So that person shows legitimate power, reward power. When you perceive that someone has the ability to reward you, listen, and when I say perceive it, remember it's all about perspective about it, okay? So when they're going to reward you with something, then they have got power over you. And that works very nicely with the mother and child picture. Like, please do your homework, then I'm going to give you 2 scoops of ice cream. That's reward power. Woo! My dogs have got wonderful reward power over me. They just go and sit there in the kitchen like an ornament and just bark, and they just sit there and they watch for somebody to open the door. Punishment power. They've got the ability to sort of punish you, intimidate, or embarrass you. Then they've got power. That little kid that goes in that toy store. Like, if I do not get that Lego now, and he screams and big tantrum there on the floor, what happens with that poor mother? Oh, no, I can't do this. Does she smack him in public and then she's going to get jailed? Or does she just walk out and leave it there on the floor? Because the power is now, see, that punishment power. If you don't do as I say, you won't get this. Reverent power exactly says what it is. It's the reverent, okay? It's a consistent set of values. Most people are forever. This is it. This is how we follow an ant. Hmm. Charismatic power. So I want to give you an idea of charismatic power is Bill Clinton. Ne? When he was the president. Very what out there, charismatic. Difficult to analyze or explain, but it's very power based on the strength of their personality. I'll be guilty and vulnerable here. I can sometimes gooi that charismatic power. So when you identify it, whenever I'm on a call with you, so please don't then say to me, oh, Rolo, take your charismatic power somewhere else. Expertise power. It's when you've got that houding of I'm the smarty pants. Listen, I know how to do this. So how about you shush and let me just inform you accordingly. And then people go, okay, you the smart one. Let me just shush. Situation power is more where people know how to do their jobs, and that gives them power. It's more environmental. So what I want to say is this is how we do it, and this is how we've been doing it over and over. That is what it is, and please don't change it. Information power. Now this one is I've seen it happen, and I want you to be aware of it because we as agents are sometimes oversharing. So information power, like how to stage your house, how to this is this. Careful of bombarding people because you're not going to educate them by bombarding them and thinking you've got power and like, how smart am I? I've sent you an email how to stage your house. And when it's on show, please can you have muffins baking? Then it smells lovely and not like cat hair, argumentatively. Sorry for the cat people. I didn't mean it ugly, but that has happened. Is this exciting? Talk to me about the 8 types of power. So do you identify yourself with one of those powers, or have you seen in negotiations how the different powers can show up? Listen, there's more, but I thought this 8 is a good starting point for you to identify. Who wants to talk to me or share something that they've identified in any of these powers? Inay, the floor is yours.
A quick one, Rolo. I just feel that for me it is a fine line that you don't overpower the situation. So you have to be in a position where you have to either adjust to accommodate that kind of personality or that kind of situation. So for me, it is not rigid, this is now I go in and this is the power key I will be applicable. So I just want to say, one assess the situation and accordingly you adapt to that. So you are in control, or your aim is to be in control, but without being dominant.
100% Inay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm with you there 100. Through the years, the people have, there's so many. You see, this is all about observations in negotiations to see the styles of the humans in the decision making process. You do flow with the punches. It's not like you can go in there and say, hello, I've got a charismatic power and this is the way we're going to do it. You will see later on in the tactics where we're going to discuss the different peoples and styles and the things that people do during negotiations when they throw it at one another. Thank you for sharing that. Karen, you want to speak, or is your hand still raised from before?
My hand is still raised from before. I don't know how to get it off.
Okay, no problem. Renee, please
Okay,
talk to
thanks.
me.
I think us as virtual agents have it a bit more difficult because we're not sitting at a negotiation table per se.
Okay.
So you're talking to people long distance, and you really need to have the facts and figures ready because you've got to counteract whatever they say, and you can say, yes, but this and this is happening in my area. This and this is what's, the real life situation, because they're all in a fantasy world. They all think, especially the older generations that are now trying to sell their properties, I don't have to sell, I want to sell. So they are prepared to hang out forever. And, the market is shifting and you need to negotiate that price to get it moving. And so I think you need to have your facts and figures there constant so that you can have a backup argument continuously. Thanks.
Thanks, Renee. You've touched the topic we're going to go in just now. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Agreed. You need to have, it's like you're a medical doctor. You have to have your bag of tricks ready so that when you are thrown or confronted with the situation, you can pull your skills out of your bag of skills or services. Let's call it that. Right. Anybody else wants to share? Anybody good? This sort of also provokes that in you where you're like, don't cast me in that box. And please, listen, I can tell you, I can play all of that. Depends which one you throw me in. I can play that game. And remember, we all have different character ethics and personality ethics. Your personality ethics is what your DNA is, and that's your belief system, your chutzpah. That's how you've been put together. Your character ethics is the way you vie and make business and do with people and act, if I can put it like that. Okay. Listen, whichever side of the two in negotiations has the most information controls it. Exactly what Renee said. Have your bag of tricks all the time ready and understand what you are walking into and what the outcome is going to be. So, more information, more power. So, the importance of gathering that information is ask open questions. Who, what, when, where, and why questions. Who will be living here so that I can know who to sign the offer with? What will the idea of the house be? As your family home or you this? When will you would like to take occupation? Where are you currently living and working and selling? Why are you moving to the South Coast? Keep repeating a question until it's answered. Come back to a question. Be aware of coming back to it. If people are avoiding questions, it means they are taking power away. Question other people. And you're a business, and it's about your fee. We know what your hourly rate is. So if you're busy selling an 8.5 million rand a home with 180-degree sea view in Belito, and you are selling it to an important businessman from Gauteng that owns 3 bottle stores and 16 blocks of flats, ask somebody and say, listen, I believe you've done with that family business. How did it happen? So that you can hear, it paid me on this day. So you want to know. Bring an expert along with you to provide credibility to your information. Sometimes when you're negotiating big numbers and every contract, every mandate has got its own specifics around it. As much as there's a tick list, there's always specifics around it. And if it means bring the expert for the damping to close the mandate, or bring the builder to the negotiations to discuss what the renovations is going to cost. Because you can't be a builder or a damp professional, nor a landscaper. Listen, and then select the location for information. Like I said earlier, negotiations is not necessarily on the couch in the living room. It's because it's decision making, and normally in residential real estate, it could be, they say single families only own up to maximum 3 homes in one married lifetime of 50 years. It is the most valuable asset for people, and it's all of their everything that is moving and changing. So pick where you want to be, that it is a comfortable situation for all parties. I know some people like to negotiate in coffee shops, so that it could be a neutral environment, especially when you're negotiating a divorce. There's nothing if you know it is a divorce, then you know, I would rather do it and they are not very fond of one another. Then I'd rather do it in a public place that you can't have them jump up, scream at one another, and walk out the door. Look, that can happen in a public place, but you would know your clients by then when you're going into the negotiations. Only reason why I've put in there shop around is because I want to say, it's like, check it out. Be aware the whole time. What are your clients doing when you are in negotiations? Know what they are doing and what they are up to. Because why am I saying that shop around as well is when you're signing an offer, and it's happened a couple of times, your negotiations then still carries on like almost like an after service, because now the buyer wants to use their own bank, and then they're slurring, not getting their financials in and getting the information done. So be aware of it and shop around this so that you can have a backup plan if the people are not following through on the requirements. And that is the whole time negotiations. If other buyers are phoning, I do have an offer on the property subject to bond approval by the 18th of August. Once I have the final answers or have more clarity on its early days for the bond, then I will show you the property. Or I'm happy to show it to you in the meantime. Please, can you give me the following? You see, you're in negotiations. Flexibility and concessions comes with pressure and time. Consent. Yes, I'm willing to take that. No, higher pressure Worst outcome. Sometimes we oversell because we want to go for the kill. If you don't know what to do nothing. If you feel like, I always say to Shawnee, okay, I'm going to walk 6 times around the house. And let me now just think about this because I want to go back in. I've had it, negotiations on a contract, 6 months, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Then at one stage for a whole month, I had no agreement because one party didn't want to give. And I thought this is big numbers. And it was, and the more pressure I've put, because it was very good commission. It was life-changing opportunity. It was one of my last big transactions with Sotheby's years ago. Sean and I are 11 and a half. So it's 11 years ago we started Armored Properties. It's when, because, so it's up, down, up, down. And if you give the wrong or you let go, then it could fall flat. 80% of concession consent occur in the last 20% of the negotiation time. And go and think about it. If you've had offer, counter offer, or mandate, no mandate, up, down, and then eventually when they, okay, let's sign the mandate, let's do this, let's close this offer, all of it happened on that last little bit, and then, yeah, then everybody is having this huge adrenaline rush. Now, negotiating and personality styles. Now we're going back to the disc. The D, the pragmatic, the I, the extrovert, the S, the amicable, ordentlik, the C, the anical, 6% plus this, everything in detail. And I'm going to now dive a little bit into it. Again, there's so much information about it. I took out some bullets on it just to get the conversation going. So, and listen, you need to understand this as negotiator, as because you are a client to people as well, where you are buying things. Your own personality style and the style of those you deal with. That's all. And you need to learn to adapt. It's precise that what Inay said earlier. It's not like it's cast in stone today. I'm going to walk into this client because this client is this and I want to use this power. No, you need to learn to adopt with it, but you need to be aware of it so that the different styles and people relate to their own style. So the pragmatic the driver, they street fighters. They don't give it up. Rolo, yeah, I am a D. Every time I look at my D, my desk, and then I just have this giggle because it just so summarizes me. They go for what they want. This is what I want. This is how it'll happen. And thanks for playing. They're certain that they are either a winner or a loser. But at least they're going to go in, give it their best shot, and then, listen, if we get to a closed door, we get to a closed door. Thanks for playing. Please, Your Honor, believe you me, whenever I go into negotiations, I'm going to win. So winning is 25 years, 24 years later, 25 years later in real estate. If I tell you negotiations in my life, and I think that's the thrill that I get still about being in real estate, is when you put me in that negotiations, I can put my act together and I strive on it. See very little for concessions. So, honestly, I know I'm a hardcore negotiator, and I'm sure some of you I will identify that D in you is. And now remember, your client could be a Rolo, ne? That one could be a street fighter and can go, Noxie, I'm not going to give you a sole mandate because then I'm limiting myself to you. And let me tell you, I'm happy for this property to be on the market. I am not paying more than 4% commission. And otherwise, please get somebody, then I'll get somebody else to market the property. That's what your seller could sound like. There, I've highlighted in negotiations challenge for a high D. is holds a fixed position. They will sit, fold their arms, and go, this is the way it is. And if you don't like it, dude, believe you me, your buyer is going to do the same with you. I'm offering you 900. That's when my money is available. I'm taking occupation that day. And electrical gas certificate and those ugly tiles must please come off the kitchen. That's it. Thanks for playing. Come, let me sign the offer, go and present it. And when you come back to me with half an answer or a what, just rather phone me and go, Rolo, thank you, but the seller is not interested. No problem. I'll buy something else. That's your D. The I, the extrovert, often overly so. That one that bounces and it's, né? They lose sight that others are not that enthusiastic. You'll be in negotiations and you're an I and you vie and you put your techniques and your tactics and your counters and you're watching this and the outcome and everything that you've practiced, you're doing. And people just still go, they're stuck, they don't react. So here's a little bit of a challenge with it, with the I, the extrovert, the influential one, the I. Others ignore feelings of others in negotiations. Either ignore feelings of others in negotiations. There's two others in there, no syndicate, sorry. So the extrovert, the I, the influential one, will just be like a political person. Talk, 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 carry on. Ja, ek sien jy's bietjie heilerig, vir my heilerig raak nie, jy kry 'n nuwe huis, man. Please. Listen, I can see somewhere you're not interested in this mandate. Leave it on that open mandate. You sit with that pricing problem. Please, I'm not interested. There's the I. The S, the amicable, the steady. Pacifiers. Their goal is to make everyone happy and not necessarily win the negotiations. The S. Because so dankbaar and congratulations, you're getting a new home. Seller, well done on the price. And I'm also okay with my 5% VAT included. And they dread high pressure encounters. Because if you're going to have a Rolo on a S, an example, and then it's gonna go like this. I want this and I want that and I want that. That person is gonna go, "Ugh, demanding," and that you're gonna feel like, where do I channel this? Okay, long for a solution, even if it doesn't not meet their requirements. By the nurturer. Oh, I'm so sorry you have to sell and you lost your work. I'm going to push for that 1.2. It's already going. Shame these people have lost their jobs. So you leave the driveway after the listing appointment. I'm okay to take 4% for them because they need to start their life over. And every time when you walk in there with a buyer, and in the back of your mind, shame, I'm going to keep this secret. Yeah, yeah, no, they're moving. Yeah, yeah. Ne? Can you see the little act in the negotiations? Here's the negotiation challenge. They easily swayed. Because if that Rolo seller is there and he's got a financial issue and he needs to move and what, he's going to look at you and going, yo, I remember when you listed the property, we said 5 plus VAT, but can you not do it at 4? You know, we're moving now to Kuruman, and for me to buy a house now there, you know, and I've lost my job, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it, man. Ag asseblief. And then you're going to go, I understand. 3% plus VAT would be okay. Who loses? You. The sea. Calm. A sea is an executive by nature. It's like they walk in a room and they always present it, and you can see they're ready and they know what they talk about. They could be rigid in negotiations. This is it, and this is the way it's going to be. The sea is very good with that silence one. Like, okay, I'll sit here. I'll wait for somebody to make a move because they're reluctant to be flexible. It's that if it goes a little bit this way, because there's a tick list. If everything is not according to the tick list, then they feel like they're losing power in the negotiations because they're concerned with the underlying principle of any issue. But if you take occupation earlier, the implication could be the borehole pump could blow up, and then it's insurance claims, and this seller is this behind with the. Mm, if the buyer doesn't get the bond and we has to pay in, is he gonna have enough money for his transfer costs? And then, oh, I'm not cutting my commission to help him, but they don't move. That's it. That's the C. Stylish, always ready. It works according to the tick list. It's got an information thing. And this is what you get for the product. Do you want the DeFi? Yes or no? Yes, the pros and the cons. It's simple. Pick. Talk to me about the personality traits, the is there something you giggle about? Have you ever experienced any of this, either in yourself or in negotiations or conversations with other agents, husbands, wives, family, sisters, brothers? Please share, somebody, because now I'm getting into more exciting things. Carla, talk to me.
Yeah, I experience a lot of high D sellers on this side in my area, and I want to know what's the best way to approach them.
So you're going to learn the tactic and the counter tactic. When they throw the tactic at you, you pick another one back at them. If that makes sense, Carla.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So we're going to look at it now. Before I say, look, it's normally a high D. Your negotiations is always come with a better solution that they didn't expect you to come with. I know it sounds harsh, but you're going to see the different tactics now. There's a number of them. So it's either a tactic or a counter tactic. If you see the one, you throw the other one. Let's look at it first and then ask me maybe at again.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else that wants to share? Danielle, the floor is yours.
Hi, Rolo. Yes, as you went through the disc analysis, I actually identified a lot of the traits within myself as well. So I guess based on your answer to Carla, that I would find the way to work around those issues within myself also within the script.
That's a big, well done, Danielle. Keller Williams has got an answer for everything. And once you identify, you counterbalance with. If you are a SC, you will ideally be okay to deal with a DI because you will see the personality traits and then counterbalance. That's how we are as people, and the more we learn about the disc, the more we are been learning based on empowering ourselves. To learn about the human, if I can put it like that. Right. So tactics and counter tactics. And again, there is endless ones. I have just put a list of them to touch on them purely for fun and to bring you also aware of it so that when you see it and you identify it, you know it. So we're going to look at the list of the tactics and why it's important to understand these tactics, because it is in negotiations, that power thing. Who has the power? Who has the information? Who's winning the contract? What is happening? And how to respond when they are used on you. Because if somebody is pulling that one on you, you will identify it and then be able to empower yourself with a comeback. Listen, will you use all of the tactics? Never, 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 never. But there's so many of us on the call with so many different, like Danielle said, she identified some of the disc in herself and also in some of her clients in negotiations and discussions. Communication. Communication is negotiations. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 slides with a lot of these, and you're welcome to chip in at any time. I really just wanted, there's plenty again. So you're welcome to go and read more of it. So nibbling. Since that initial agreement where the opposition kind of is vulnerable and some things are more easily achieved later in negotiating. Um, it's almost like a bargaining trade-off, like you are like a little fish. You carrying on. If I do this for you, will we have this outcome? If we are this, that nibbling, that nagging. Hello, have you now decided to make the offer? Have you discussed with your daughter when she can come and view the retirement unit you loved so much? Did you already discuss with the matron at the retirement village how much she's going to buy your property for? Hot potato. Pass the buck. Someone wants to pass his or her problem to you. In that mandate negotiations, the high D tunes the S. Listen, that's my price. That's the bathroom. I'm not interested in how much it's going to cost to renovate it. And don't come with stories coming off the price. Otherwise, bring me the quote and then we can talk. Your problem. Thank you. Please get the builder in to get the quote. Otherwise, you won't be able to answer your buyers. And you know already all your buyers are going to say, how are we going to fix this one bathroom? Higher authority. Always have an unidentified entity behind you that has the authority to make the decision. Have you ever walked into somewhere where you go and buy and then you're busy chatting to the salesperson and he says, um, listen, I'll just get back to you. I want to speak to my boss. Or I'm going to send an email to our CEO to um, get back, to make the decision. That's the higher authority tactic. Set aside gambit. Now, that gambit, remember, is a calculated process with an outcome. Put an issue on hold, find agreement on little issues around it, and then return to the major ones. So, like occupation date is a big one. But the bathroom needs to be painted, the tiling can be done. So, what if we move occupation date till then, but you can move in earlier just to get the tiles out, bring the horses and the horse food? So, it's all little small things because of the big date that we are in negotiation. That set aside gambit. Then we're going to come back to the actual occupation of the key handover. The mediator tactic. Bring in a third party to mediate, someone who must be perceived as, let's call it, neutral. The mediator tactic is like when you see this D is going to run straight over you. It's when you bring in that third person. That's the counterbalance so that we can negotiate to a final number. Want to bring an example? Carla's busy with an offer and closed. The closing is seller doesn't want to pay the commission, buyer doesn't want to go up higher. She will call in Elke to assist with the negotiations, which will be called a mediator and tactic. Never take the first offer. I've had it where people would walk in like, yo, Rolo, thank you for the call. I love this property. How much is it in the market for again? 3.5. Oh, no problem. We can sign it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Here's my tactic. I know it's only now 5 minutes into the viewing. Keep viewing, keep watching. I have got other clients that are coming to have a look again. I've already made the appointment. Don't take the first offer. Play the bluff a little bit. It's a tactic. Good guy, bad guy. Now, it's like when two people work together, the one is friendly and the other one is threatening. So, good guy, bad guy is what you will have a lot in commercial negotiations. Good cop, bad cop. I would work with you. We're from the same company. We're sitting on opposite sides of the table, but you say something in the negotiations and I say something. It's kind of like we're in courtroom and the buyer is sitting there and we're now nailing him or the seller to close the deal, but we work together and then it's up down, and it's quick. The feel, felt, found tactic. Now, I've put it in because a D and an I would use this argumentatively. And it's not arguing, but in communication and conversations, it can sometimes be, get an argument like, I'm not gonna pay more, and I'm telling you now. And that creates confrontal negotiations, which could put that pressure, and we don't want that. Okay. So there's an upfront phrase. Watch it. It's a phrase and it's very specific. I understand how you feel. Many others have felt the same way. However, we have always found. So it comes from a little bit of an expert or a reference. But that sentence, because it just puts everything at ease in the negotiations, it clears the air, it creates an automatic 5 seconds of silence so that everybody can just get to the basics again and keep to the relevance of why we are here. I understand how you feel. Many other have felt the same way. However, we have found it's like you want to put that last little thought just to get silence in the room because it can get heated in negotiations. Smart is dumb and dumb is smart. You know those in negotiations that play dumb. You just don't give yourself away because then you're giving power away and then you're creating another tactic for somebody. You will get it in negotiations where people will, no, I hear you. Yeah. Well, meantime, you're busy speaking to an attorney or an extremely smart person, and here you carry on. Are you aware of the transfer process? Do you want to tell me? Meantime, you didn't focus on the information, and that person is pulling a tactic, or you are now being blindsided by the buyer. Then you can also play a little bit of dumb. Because you're aware of this client now, it wants to play a little bullet on you. Then you can also play the dumb. I hear you. It's always a good one of the smart dumb tactic during negotiations. If you want to play dumb, be aware of your comeback. Is this first slide interesting or enticing, or have you identified some of these tactics during communication, conversations, or negotiations? Mm, mm, mm. Inay de Vries, definitely. Donkey Inay. Listen, that walk away tactic in negotiations. It's like you have to let them know, like, Hola, if you do not pick this option, I'm happy to take my file and my customer and go somewhere else. But if you've gone past that and you've told me you can walk away and then we're still carrying on and then we pull another tactic on one another, what, and you're not walking, then you've given the power away in any case. Then you might as well start from scratch. Be aware of that tactic, is that walk away one. In Afrikaans praat hulle van die toeklapboek metode. Klap die boek toe. Thanks for playing. Jy wil nie hierdie ding hê nie. Los dit dan. Flinching in negotiations. Visibly react anytime a proposal is made to you. You know, like that. Yo, and I'm telling you now, you can move in on the 1st of June. And then that body language goes, really? You can see that face is like, I'm winning. Yes. Or, I know it is advertised at 950, but the seller will accept an offer of 900. That is what agents do in conversation. So you already setting the price there, okay? But instead of inviting the buyer to make an offer and guide them, you do get agents that say, I know it's listed at 950, but I'll give it to you at 900. I can close it for you. They use that parameter conversation to entice the buyer. And then that buyer goes, yo, I'm already getting, ne? Then you know, negotiations is done. Price is set. Occupation day is set. Object handling out the way. The trade-off principle is the moment you ask for it, are you happy to sign the offer at 2.8? And then they respond, happy to do that. But do you think that can leave the John Deere tractor and the trade-off? If you give me, I want. If you give me, I want. The vice technique. Vice is exactly like a vice grip. Like, you're squeezing the last out of it now. Like, and then you do this. You'll have to do better than that. Then we'll have to go to the felt, feel, found. Feel, felt, found, yeah. Because this person is now dead. And then just to break the tactic and the silent, you'll have to go, you'll have to do better than that. And it's normally that one that happens in the commission negotiation. Power of the printed word as a tactic. Your S and your C's, especially your C, likes everything to be printed. And normally, if your seller is a C or your buyer CS, they will say to you beforehand, please email it to me. It gives me time to read because I'll probably have questions. That's a negotiating one. You can do exactly the same with your buyer and seller. Please send me an email with a list of your concerns so that I can attend to it. Withdraw offer principle. Now be careful on this one. Now the person is set in the negotiations. I'll give you this for this. And then when it's now that closing time, and then you start withdrawing in the negotiations because you want to wait for it out so that you can stretch it. I'm going to give you an example. During the original valuation appointment, now we're walking through the property and we're sitting down, and the clients are chatting, and we know, yeah, this is who we am, and this is how many years I've been selling real estate, and I sold that house, that house, that house, that house. Okay, that's just conversation, valuation time. And then the client says to you, but Pam, Golding works at 5% plus VAT. And you say, yeah, we are also. That is what people say. Because you now realize if you say now 6.5, your seller is going to subtract. So the agent doesn't discuss there. They want to know when they sign that mandate. And that's where, when you now start pushing the mandate and you say 6 and the client reads it there, it's almost like you're withdrawing it firstly because of your negotiations of higher commission, because you feel in your mandate presentation and service delivery, you are bringing more than what the green team is. Easy acceptance. Simple. Says exactly what it is. Putting the other side in a position in which they don't feel bad about giving in to you. Easy. 2.5 offered straight, 500,000 alles. Yes, please. Done. Easy negotiations, all parties. Ooh. There's funny money one. Be very careful for funny money. And funny money works very well in the lower numbers. Now, what I mean with lower numbers is when you use the breakdown of a price to make the money sound insignificant. For an example, when you're in negotiations on a 850 and a 900 argumentatively property, do not relay do not. I have seen it so many times and I've learned out of experience. Rather change the commission to a total rand amount. Do not put percentages in your negotiations. So funny money would be the offer is at 850 minus the 30% commission, which I've already worked out the VAT. So VAT and my commission part is X. So you, dear seller, will get out 805,000 net in your pocket. That is using the exact amount. But if you said 850 minus 5% plus VAT, now we need to look for the calculator. Not all of us can work 5% on 850. But if you break it into round numbers, it can happen in 3.5s and 10 millions as well. It's just called that tactic of don't think about it. Here it is. 850 minus this. This is what you get. That is that cost component. Klar. Decoy. So when it sort of gets heated and somebody doesn't want to give way, and then you need to just decoy in the negotiations and talk about something else, just to give that space for people to think whilst we want to get to a win-win. For an example, now the seller is stuck at 2.8 and you know everything in the suburb according to Lightstone is at 2750. And then your decoy would be, but I've sold that property for 2650. That property recently transferred. Pam Golding did the sale at X. So now you're talking about other things to make the client aware of what happened with the neighbor's property. There's the last lot we're going in. The red herring. It's almost like a refinement of the decoy technique, because you want to create an issue in the negotiations that will subsequently be used to trade off for a real issue. Because now the client is stuck on the 2.8. Now you're going to go into the detail. The tiles replacement value that the buyer is going to pay for. And let me just explain to you that that property has already had a renovated bathroom, and that one has had a renovated bathroom. It costs them 30, it costs them 30. That's why the buyer can't move on your price, because we're already paying top dollar on the price. Does that make sense? The puppy dog close. Now, this is not a typical, but I wanted to bring it in so that you can be aware of when that your tenant is in a property. Have the potential client buyer use the product for a time and get the person emotionally involved in it. That's the puppy dog close. So when your tenant lives in that property and oh, Carlos bly lekker hierso. We love it here in Colonnade Estates, example. It's easy access. We love entertaining in our home. Would you like to buy it? Oh, yes, please. How much do they want? 1.8. Only. No, please. Okay, that's the puppy dog. Reluctant buyer. Why I've put it in there so that you can understand again with whatever you are offering. It could be reluctant buyer, reluctant seller, argumentatively. And I've put it in there as a tactic so that you can understand when you want to do a comparison. Is when people are showing no interest in the negotiations, where you can then refer in person. But when you refer in person in negotiations, be aware. That's what the reluctant, we play the person name. Johnny Papenfoos of 16 Bobbejaan bought this property from me that year. This is what happened. Please speak to him to convince you then, because they're not showing any interest or enthusiasm. Listen, the want it all philosophy. They can normally try it on you buyers and sellers. They always want to push that envelope and ask a little bit more than what is expected. And that's brilliant, where buyer would say to you is, listen, this is when I take occupation. We're going to pay X amount. I know it's under the asking price. Here's my deposit already been pre-approved, and I don't have to sell a house. So I'm actually a good cash buyer. That's what buyers will say to you. They want it all. And when you come back and you say, yes, the seller is accepting all of that, then they're going to say to you, okay, before we sign the contract and close the deal, can they please include the heated swimming pool and the generator and this, for an example? Just another one is that splitting the difference. It is not a common thing in real estate negotiations, but you do get it in the negotiations of your commission, where they'll say, okay, the asking price was 2.8, your offer is 2.7. If your commission is 6 plus VAT and I take it off, why can't we rather make it a round amount and I still get my 2.6 and you take 100,000 all in? Or you can use it on a seller. Hi, seller. We were asking 2.8, 2.7. I've worked the commissions. I tell you what, that you can still, if you were at 2,750 in your pocket, you take 2.7. My commission is 100,000 round amount. Thanks for playing. Let's go. Anybody want to talk to me? Does any of these tactics excite you? Have you ever seen it happen? Have you identified any of them that you use it yourself? Inay, have you raised your hand? Please talk to me.
Yes, I would like that point where he says the puppy dog technique. It can also work the other way around, because the tenant can use that platform and really just make your life difficult in pointing out all the defaults and all this and that. So it's good, but it is also a risk.
100, 100 in a great to identify that, and thank you for sharing that. Oh yes, you know, why would a tenant walk through a property and say, oh, we love it here, we want to buy it, but that thing makes a noise, and that thing there is because they think they are now using a tactic where they want to break the product down to get a better price. And your tactic would be, yes, but you're still getting the great location. You're going to throw them back with the information. You've been here comfortable, and that is what the price would be. And then they're going to go with you in night. Are you willing to talk about your commission? I don't know why buyers bring up the thing about talk about commission. You're not paying me my commission, so why are you having oh, sorry, this conversation with me? Renee, please talk to us.
I've changed the wording. I never refer it to as commission. I refer it as Keller Williams brokerage fee.
Oh, here, look at you. I just love that American styles like infantry we talk about. And it's our brokerage fee. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Renee. Okay, we'll call it my brokerage, my professional fee. Is there another raised hand? Danielle, that's awesome. Right, guys, I'm on the hour by the hour. So I want to just say, always maintain perspective when negotiating. Because it's all about your skill and your act and your ability and your knowledge, you need to always be aware that somebody must criticize you at some stage, and you must have the ability to be able to climb out of the situation and look back in to that round table meeting. What did your buyer say? What did your seller say? What could have gone better in this? Would that be always survey your own skills and ability as you keep practicing? And always remember to stick to the issues that are at hand in your negotiations. That relevance. I must say, I've seen so many times in negotiations where, with people would not be flexible and then deviate from the negotiations, lose power. Nobody gets a piece of the cake, not even the crumbs. Study the personality styles. It's not going, please spend time and study them 24 hours. Just be aware of it so that when you are in negotiations, you know what the probable act would be. Track it. See, this client's done that. When your friend is under your husband, just become more aware of it, and that way you're going to be learning based and empower yourself. Any ahas, any questions, please talk to me. Yes, Danielle, talk to us.
Rolo, I think you gave us awesome tools with which to work in our industry. I had the privilege of attending a 6 Personal Perspectives course on Saturday at Keller Williams Edge, and Rian mentioned something where we have to go from being estate agents working for commission to being property professionals. And I love what Renee said about the Keller Williams brokerage fee. It gives that perception of value, that we actually know what we're talking about and that we're acting professional, that we're earning the brokerage fee.
Beautiful. Wow, Danielle, that was a big one. Yes. Thank you for sharing, Danielle. We are professionals, and I want to tie in with that is that accountability to own up to who we are and the service we bring and the fees we earn. So it's worked out. Listen to this number. There's currently 48 odd thousand agents registered now with the PPRA, and with all this PPRA changes, they're already falling down to 36,000 already. They believe by the end of the year we're only going to be 24 odd thousand property professionals, according to the PPRA. Please, this is in a conversation that I'm now just quoting to you. And these people are smart people that had the facts. By the end of the year, and with the new cycle that's now finishing with everything in the beginning of 2023, we are probably going to lose a little bit more. Fact, what I'm trying to say to you is not to think our industry is going down. It is just the profession has stepped up in service requirement and ability and in earning. So a traditional capper in Keller Williams hourly rate is more than the medical aid contracted rate per hour a normal GP in pit sonder water can charge. Go and think about it. Go and work that number. Your hourly rate as a capper in Keller Williams is equal to a GP contract by medical aid. And let's use a normal medical aid. The conversation that came up, and we didn't use Discovery. It was like a Bonitas and a James and a Med Shield. Med Shield is what the person was actually at that medical aid. Guys, anybody else that wants to share? I hope I've brought value and just enticed you to be aware of this in conversation and to use it to your advantage, because it's always a win-win or no deal. All parties must walk away and feel that they've won and they gained the best part of it. And this conversation of today was just to tell you, make you aware of what actually happens in that process as we get to closing. Anybody else? Yes, there's Renee. Talk to us.
I find my negotiation skill starts from the beginning. Ask questions. Ask, what do you do for a living? How many kids? Because when you find a common denominator, birds of a feather flock together, you find you've got a bond. And therefore, so when you start, that's the first thing. Find out what they've got, what you've got in common. Oh, they golf, or they play bowls, or whatever sports their interest is, or they got a yacht, or they go to destinations, they like to travel. And then you've got that common denominator and you can expand on that, and that's how you win their trust.
Yes, please, Renee. Look at that. You see, experience speaks for itself. Thank you for sharing. Guys, thank you for being on the call. Tomorrow and Wednesday, Heather and I will be at Mega Leadership here in Joburg with Keller Williams, South Africa. Thursday morning, we're kicking off with 36-12-3. So those of you that have ignited an MRE 8, please, 36-12-3 is 36 transactions in 12 months from 3 hours of lead generation. It is 2 hours in the morning. It's power packed. I'm going to make all the manuals available in Google Drive. We'll share it all with you. It's actually already there, but I'll just remind you of the link. The walk the talk will probably come out latest early tomorrow morning, just so that we are updated into next week. And please, it doesn't mean if you haven't MRE 8 or Ignite that you mustn't do 36-12-3. Please attend it, because you are going to attend it how many more times in your life so that you can get most value in the growth of your business. Appreciate you. Have a fabulous August. See you at the top. Thanks, guys. Cheers, cheers.
Thank you, Rolo. Bye-bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Rolo. Ag jene. Mina. Lisbeth het my groot gemaak by my ouma hulle se plaas toe ek gebore is. Sy werk vir my tannie wat ons gister mee. Pap en eier. Kom kuier. Shame. Daai tannie wat gister vir gister ons mee gaan breakfast het. Sy werk vir haar al die jare nog by die family. Altyd op die plaas. My ouma het koolstoof gehad. Baie toe klein gebore was. Sy het vir my gemaak mieliepap en eier. Die lekkerste mieliepap op die plaas. Ek sê gister vir my tannie, ek onthou Lisbeth se mieliepap en eiers.
Maar sy word nou oud, né?
Nee, ek sê sy lyk nie een dag ouer nie. Jessie. Shame.